Hello, thank you for listening. This is the near death experience of Stacy, and this experience occurred on July 30th of 2015 and was documented on July 24th of 2017. Open quote. During the school year, I was a special education expressive arts teacher focused exclusively on guiding others. My work was full of passion, persistence, and joy. During the summer, I was a student in a classroom of one and in an adventure for one. It was my yearly solo sabbatical in search of the forgotten sound of my own footsteps. In the summer of July 2015, I was giddy to start my summertime trek. That year, I would anchor myself in Portland, Oregon, and explore temperate rainforest, craft beer, waterfalls, coastal tide pools, and the musings of a culture different than my own. I left the Washington, D.C. area in mid July. I arrived on the West Coast, rented a car, and settled into a lovely 1927 log cabin conveniently located in the back courtyard of a Japanese food restaurant in Portland's foodie district. What a cool city! At the start of the trip, I began to notice a few glitches in my physical self. I was 47 years old, active, and in fairly decent shape. So I was startled when I couldn't lift my carry on suitcase into the top storage bin of the airplane. I wondered why my right foot was feeling so strange and unable to seat itself properly into my sandal. I was surprised to feel shortness of breath and a little dizzy after walking up a garden hill. The days passed and the adventures swelled and swirled around me and through me. Ah, summertime! The physical glitches continued, and I ignored them until I couldn't anymore. On July 30th, 2015, while driving through Oregon wine country to visit a quirky mineral and gem museum, the right side of my body started to fail. My arm, leg, tongue, and face went weak, numb, and felt disconnected. I knew I was having a stroke. As fortune would have it, I saw a blue and white H sign by the next exit ramp and pulled into a Kaiser Permanente hospital parking lot. I managed to get out of the car and bully my functional left side into dragging my unresponsively rubbery right side to the emergency room, where I cheerfully announced that I was having a stroke. I got the feeling that the triage staff didn't quite believe me, but they were professional and kind as they gowned me up and put an IV into me. They set me up in a cubicle while I waited for the doctor to see me. I wasn't in pain and I wasn't scared. I was curious. I had been working with folks with severe disabilities for about 30 years, so this is what partial paralysis feels like, I thought. It's weird. It feels weird. Calmly, I focused on my sensations and surroundings. I remember thinking, I got this. I'm fine. It's all good. No worries. There was a nurse in my room when I felt some sort of shift within my body. Suddenly, I was having trouble breathing. I remember calling out, Something's happening. I'm going south. At this point, I popped out of my body and watched from the ceiling as the nurse quickly hurried out the door to the room. Then I felt another shift. I was in what looked to me like outer space. It was dark, but not black. I sensed that this place was vast, beyond definition, and crackling alive with energy. God was by my right side, and waves of overwhelming, warm, loving, and unconditional acceptance enveloped me. I felt God's pure, absolute, and dignified love. I clearly comprehended my situation. I understood that every moment of my life is governed by my own free will. While my human body is viable for life, it is my moment by moment choice to live inside of this body on earth with the rest of corporal mankind. True, I had popped out of my body for the time being, but I understood that to be a bit of a fluke. I had a choice in this between time. I knew that behind me, if I turned around and went to the left, I would go back to my body. If I turned around and went to the right, I could abandon my body and join the delicious field of love energy that surrounded me. I knew that back on Earth, my body was still viable. If I chose to abandon it, it would feel a bit like swimming upstream. But I could do it if it was my choice. I knew that joining God's energy field of love was goodness beyond any type of conceivable goodness. But to me, it felt like a foregone conclusion that I would turn to the left and rejoin my body. My interior dialogue was, seriously? Come on now. You know you're going to have to go back. Be real, dingbat. As I turned to the left, I felt a bit heartbroken and resigned to my choice. I was moving rapidly with that turn. Over my right shoulder, I passed a shimmering, starry path which curved up and out into the distance. Emanations of energy from the path overpowered me with pure, welcoming love. I audibly gasped in awe from the river of love flowing from the starry path. With that gasp, air filled my earthly lungs and brought me back to a hospital gurney. End quote. Fantastic. I so do enjoy to hear people's stories and how they explain it and where they are in their life. I thought that makes it all so special. There are some questions here. Question: did you feel separated from your body? Answer: yes. When I exited my body, I saw the room from above and watched someone open the door and exit. I saw this from the level of the room ceiling. Question: did time seem to speed up or slow down? Time lost means of measurement. Question: did you see an unearthly light? Answer: yes, I saw a starry path. It curved up and out into space. It was lit against the darkness with what looked like tightly packed stars. It was like what the Milky Way looks like in a clear night, devoid of other light pollution. Question: did you suddenly seem to understand everything? Answer: I had an understanding of our purpose as humans in God's universe. Question: did you reach a boundary or limiting physical structure? Answer: yes, I was given a choice to turn left and return to my body, or turn to the right and travel up the starry path to join universal love. Question: did you come to a border or point of no return? Answer: I came to a definite conscious decision to return to life. For me, it was a foregone conclusion that I would return to my body. I knew that my body was still viable, although I knew that joining God's universal love would be nothing but spectacular. I knew it wasn't my time yet. Interesting that she knew that her body was still viable, so it was a foregone conclusion to return to it. Question: what importance did you place on your religious/spiritual life prior to your experience? Answer: greatly important to me. Question: what was your religion prior to your experience? Answer: Jewish. In Judaism, our prayers are sung. There is an ordained clergy member called a cantor who sings the prayers. Unordained Jews who perform this service in a lay clergy capacity are called cantorial soloists. I was, at the time, a cantorial soloist responsible for singing prayers during weekly services at my temple. I was very involved in Jewish living and practice in the Reform Jewish movement. Question: have your religious practice changed since your experience? Answer: yes. I now get out of my own way when I lead services as a cantorial soloist. I feel like a conduit. Because of this, I find myself in a delicious state of flow. I don't think about the musicality of my performance. I just let it happen. Question, what importance do you place on your religious/spiritual life after your experience? Answer, greatly important to me. Question, what is your religion now? Answer, Jewish. My experience has only refined and solidified my religious devotion and practice. Question, did your experience include features consistent with your earthly belief? Answer, entirely consistent. Judaism teaches that usually the answers are not as important as the questions, and the thought processes enlivened from pondering, such that wrestling with God over the meaning of life, etc., is what it's all about as the most noble pursuit. My experience of the ultimate choice of free will is in line with that philosophy. Question, did you have a change in your values and beliefs because of your experience? Answer, yes. My thinking is larger picture. Question, did you seem to encounter a mystical being or presence or hear an unidentifiable voice? Answer, I felt the presence of God and received an understanding of my situation and choice from God. Question, during your experience, did you gain information about the meaning of life? Answer, yes. I understood that our purpose is to experience free will. In contrast with God, we make decisions without knowing the outcome. This human journey gives God a chance to experience randomness and maybe even the unknown, which is stimulating to God. We give God something to love and a brilliant venue for God's creativity and genius. Our randomness, provided by the free will God has granted us, allows for God's vicarious experience. Our linear perception of existence provides a beginning, a middle, and an end for each choice we make. Each of those choices is a vicarious, maybe even an unknown journey for God too, perhaps similar to a supercharged parental experience. Additionally, I understood that God realizes that it's tough out there to be a human and to have to continuously make decisions without knowing what's going to happen because of them. I understood that God appreciates this burden and grants each one of us unconditional dignity, respect, and the warmest type of love that wraps us into the welcoming river of universal energy. During your experience, did you gain information about love? Answer, yes. God's love and the love felt from the universal river of energy is really, really, really good. It's hard to explain. Question, what life changes occurred in your life after your experience? Answer, large changes in my life. I give myself more self-worth. I understand that I am an instrument for God. Question, have your relationships changed specifically because of your experience? Answer, yes, absolutely. I am a different person than I was due to the stroke, as well as not just the NDE. It's hard to tease out which changes are from which experience. Question, how accurately do you remember the experience in comparison to other life events? Answer, more accurately. This experience usually plays like a full sensory movie in my memory. Sometimes I am closer to the movie screen than at other times. It frightens me when I have to work a little harder for the show. I don't want to lose this experience. Question, do you have any psychic, non-ordinary, or other special gifts after your experience that you did not have before the experience? Answer, yes. Always a singer and a lousy guitar player. After my stroke, I can suddenly play the piano. Question, are there one or several parts of your experience that are especially meaningful or significant to you? Answer, the type of love that I experienced was beyond what I thought possible. Question, have you ever shared this experience with others? Answer, yes. It took a while for me to share my experience with anyone, mostly because I was pretty sick after my stroke. I was also in a profound state of denial that I had had a stroke at all. I don't remember how long it took to share for the first time, but it's been almost 2 years now. I am just starting to put my experience into written form. And isn't it interesting that it's almost 2 years to the day? What did this occur? 7:30, and this of 2015, and it would be 7:24. So like a week, like sitting there. Oh, was it about this time? Almost a week that I died, went to heaven. Question: what did you believe about the reality of your experience shortly after it happened? Answer: I thought it was real, but took the experience away in my background because I had immediate earthly issues to deal with. And question: what do you understand about the reality of your experience now? Experience was definitely real. Once I found the mental time and space to think about my experience, I understood the experience. I understand the experience to be real. End quote. End question. Stacy, your experience here was profound, and some of your words here that you wrote were profound as well. I definitely enjoyed them. I enjoyed this experience. I appreciate you sharing it with us, and thank you guys for listening. Have a nice day.